from where you come from. Now, what are some of the achievements that we've made?
Thank you. If you look at the situation of employment, we've had an expansion in the informal sector. A number of jobs have come in the informal sector. We had, before COVID, there was also some jobs that were coming in. Unfortunately, when COVID came, it destroyed a number of jobs. We've had, we have had mega infrastructure development projects, and so because of that, we have had temporary jobs happening at the time when we are building this infrastructure. So by and large, that has been the situation. The unfortunate thing is that the underemployment has continued to persist. Many of our people, almost 84% of those ones who are in the wage employment, are underemployed. That means they are doing jobs that where their skills and their potential is not utilized to the optimal.
Yeah. And you've mentioned about the informal sector. Now, when you look at the informal sector, we have a lot of employment in the informal sector. But when you look at the public sector, the employment opportunities there are a bit scarce. Therefore, how do we make sure that we expand the informal sector to create more jobs?
Expanding the informal sector is not a policy direction that the country should take, because if you look at the quality of the jobs in the informal sector, they are not decent jobs. They are not jobs that are going to give people a high income, that they are able to command a good life that we envision in Vision 2030. I know if you remember what the Vision 2030 is, we are envisioning to have a quality life for Kenyans by 2030. But that cannot happen if majority of our jobs are in the informal sector.
Yes.
Reason being, one, the informal sector jobs are low productive jobs. They don't command high incomes. They command depressed incomes. The second thing that happens when you look at the informal sector, it doesn't give people good pensions, so that if you are retiring, if you are in a certain Juakali factory, perhaps you're working on certain metals, or you are producing certain metal products, it depends on your skill and energy. But naturally, as you age, that energy goes away. The informal sector jobs do not give you that comfort that when you retire, you're going to be covered. We have a challenge of social protection. If you look at, many people are not covered by NHIF because they cannot afford to pay. We have so many people who do not have pensions, so many people who do not have good houses.
Yes.
That cannot be afforded to the people in the informal sector. So what do we need to do? We don't need to expand the informal sector. We need to ensure that the jobs who are in the informal sector are supported, those enterprises that are producing those jobs, to grow and become formalized enterprises that then can give high quality jobs. And so we need to treat the informal sector as people where we come in, we are trying our innovations, we are trying our ingenuities, our entrepreneurship capacity, but policy and environment, the business environment, should be able to facilitate the transition of that business that is starting from the informal sector to become a formalized business. If you look globally, these big businesses that we see, they just started as small businesses,
yes,
all of them, but they have become multinationals. What is wrong if Kenya, we go the same path? Our small businesses becoming multinationals. And let me tell you something. If you look at where we are today as Africa, what are we talking about? Regional integration. The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement says what? We are going to trade with Africa. Kenya is able to trade with all countries in Africa. We are able to take our goods where Africa is. What do we need to do? We need to position these businesses, the informal sector businesses, to have that capacity. And that one means that they will not stay informal, but they start operating formally. So we need to support them so that then they can grow, become formalized business. Transition. Today, only 16% of employment is in the formal sector.
Yes.
84 is in the informal sector. Just imagine a situation where all these 84 becomes formal employment, where it gives high quality of income, social protection, everybody's on medical cover, everybody's saving for the pensions, everybody's earning an income that gives him or her an opportunity to live a decent life. Won't that be good for the country?
It will be good.
So that's the thing we need to do.
Yes.
Don't talk about expanding the informal sector. Talk about how do we support these informal businesses become viable, established businesses that can command higher revenues, higher incomes, that creates good employment for our people and creates also wealth for our people.
And now, this 84% of the informal sector, even as we support them, what are some of the strategies that we can put in order to make sure that they move? Because talking about also this 84%, I believe most of them are startups by youth. And one of the challenges is financial support. So how do we make sure that someone who has started a business is supported to make it formal?
First, we need the policy that underpins our taxation should move away from we need to expand our tax brackets by just looking at the informal sector and bringing them to pay the tax. We need to think about how do we help them to become more productive, grow their productivity. And there are simple things we can do as a country. The first thing is just on skills development. We need to look at what does the market need. And for us to produce the goods that are able to access the markets that we have as a country, we are entering into a number of agreements. We are negotiating AGOA, we are negotiating with we are under COMESA, we are under FCTA, all those are markets. We are in East African community. We have even had Congo coming in the East African community, the DRC Congo. So these are the markets that we have. Now, what kind of products do these markets need? What are the standards? What are the qualities that these products need to have? If we are producing furniture and we expect that instead of people going to China to buy furniture to bring to Africa, we want furniture to come from Kenya and go to the rest of Africa, then we need to train the people who are in the informal sector on these quality standards. And then we support them with the kind of tools and equipment they need to be able to produce those, because there is one side of you having the skill, and then there is another thing, you need the quality tools and equipment that can be able to produce that product. And then we need to help them to access the market, because that's very important. They need to produce knowing that there is a market, and that when we can facilitate, the country can come together, pool and say, instead of furniture producers selling 1, 2 on the roadside, we have a big corporation that they become the supplier. So if we developed our supply chain so that it incorporates them, then they are going to move. And the other thing we need to look at the agriculture sector. The value addition in agricultural sector. How do we ensure that the commodities that we produce in our agricultural sector, we don't sell them when they are still in just the raw form? Who said that maize should only be producing ugali, and who say that ugali should only be cooked in homes? Can we think of how do we utilize the food that we have and the agricultural products that we have in a way that is processing, we supply in our supermarkets and even outside there. Nyama choma is a delicacy that is known for Kenya. I mean, we are buying KFC from US. What about we patenting nyama choma and opening up joints or restaurants all over the world and then supply that, patent it? I mean, these are things we have. So let's ensure that we support our own innovations. Now, you talked about the financial access. The challenges that we have is our financial models is pegged. We'll give you a loan. Okay, once we support you, we need you to be repaying it back. And so we are looking at what is your ability to repay. You are a startup, you don't have that ability.
Yes.
Can we then put it such that then we link your repayment on how your revenue will be growing? Say, okay, 2% of your revenues as you continue. So depending on how you expand, you continue to pay this loan. Let's make it easy for access. What we have in this country and what I've seen across Africa is not lack of finance. The access is the problem.
Yes.
Finance is there. How do we access it? So if we smoothen that, then we'll be able to support a lot of startups.
All right. Even as we close now, the incoming government, what are some of the things that you think in the employment sector that they need to correct?
The Federation of Kenya Employers has been very categorical. Remember, from 2015, we started talking about the unemployment challenge and where we were headed and all that. For us, we see three important things that the incoming government needs to focus on. One, we are just recovering from COVID, and we have had geopolitical challenges that have come into play. Can we accelerate this recovery? Can we remove the red tapes on the business? If you want to start a business in Nairobi, can we make it easier and anywhere in the country? Can we come up with a competitiveness index for our counties, just the same way the countries have their competitive index for our counties, so that the more you facilitate your business environment to be able to support the enterprises, then the more you attract investments in your country. Can we develop the value chains for our products, and then also the supply chains, and then can we smoothen the access to finance? The second thing that we need to look at is, can we have a coordinated, predictable approach to how we make our laws, so that then we are not making our laws left, right, without seeing the wholesome impact of it. And the third and last thing we need to look at is solving our problems through social dialogue, so that then we maintain peace. If we can disagree, we can have different opinions, and I know we are headed to the elections. Can we be a country of people who sits down and say, okay, where is our difference? Can we talk over those issues and be able to come up with our amicable solutions that do not destroy our country, including alternative dispute resolution mechanisms for our challenges?
All right, thank you so much for joining us. That is Stephen Obiero, who is the head of policy at the Federation of Kenya Employers, just talking to us about the unemployment